Evolve this.
Hello, welcome to episode 136 of Chet and John's reassuringly finite gaming playlist. My name's John Denton, with me as always Chet Roivas.
Hello.
2 top 10 lists, 10 being the game we played the least this week, 1 being the game we played the most this week. Let's do it. Chet Roivas, speak.
Okay, my number 10 is a game called Appease the Spider on the Xbox 360. It is an Xbox Live indie game, and it's made by a person called Chris Antoni, who has recently emerged as by far the most prolific developer working on Expendable. He made that Night Trap thing that we played, One Night, Two Crazies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He did the decent Contra rip-off, sort of decent Contra rip-off.
A decent stretch, but yeah.
I was just going to say decent is not the right word. A respectable, it's not even respectable, really. I'm just going to avoid trying to find a word for that. But yeah, the Eternal Nightmare, the Contra thing. In addition to a load of other things that I haven't tried yet, whenever Explig is updated, at least sort of once or twice a week, one of his games is on there for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So right. He's gone on a bit of a craze. But this one is very similar to One Night, Two Crazies in that it's assembled from photos and it runs in a kind of sort of pseudo flickerbook fashion that's not very easy on the eyes. And you're moving around this same house, this guy's house, by sort of entering commands on the D-pad. And the reason you're moving around this house is because a spider wakes you up at the foot of at the beginning of the game. A spider's at the foot of your bed saying, "Go and bring me stuff." And then you walk downstairs. He says, "Go get me food." So you walk to the fridge. You open the fridge, get some food. You walk back up, get into bed, and then give it to him. And then he goes, "Now go and get me some porn." The joke is that there's a chessboard in the living room, and you go and take it. Okay. And then you take it upstairs, and he goes, "Now go and get me more things." The whole time this is happening, you can pull your mobile phone out of your pocket and look at, again, CCTV cameras. And sometimes you'll see someone wearing a werewolf costume in one of the rooms, but it doesn't make any difference where they are because they move around. So you can think, oh, there's a werewolf in the kitchen, but by the time you get there, it's gone.
Right.
So there isn't a gameplay system underpinning it. It's just random, But to be completely fair to it, although that werewolf is only there to randomly jump out at you, it really did get me 3 times. 3 times I jumped out of my skin. So you have to give credit where it's due, I suppose. Making someone jump is not a complicated science, but it's also not the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, this is not recommended. It might be a whole lot better if it was actually video, moving from room to room in 3 photographs each. It's like getting curb stomped. After a while, you just can't handle it. Really unpleasant. It's sort of amiable, a little doodle, but it's kind of a sidestep. It's basically a reskin of the early game and lesser. It's not as good. So ho hum. Yeah.
Is it the same spider costume as one of the baddies from that other game?
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. My number 10 is Fruit Ninja on the Android. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about Fruit Ninja, a game that everybody's played a million times. But the reason that I played a bit of Fruit Ninja is that they've just launched the Amazon App Store on Android. I don't know if it's an iOS thing, but and what they're doing on this App Store is giving you free apps every week, apps that would normally cost money, as opposed to free apps that you pay in-app purchase. Everything's free now, but like proper apps for free. So there was this Fruit Ninja, the half-brick game that has appeared on Connect and all sorts of, it's a bit of a phenomenon a couple of years ago. And something called Plex, which is some sort of media server, and a couple of others like Zombie Helicopter or something. It looked terrible, so I didn't even bother downloading that. But I think every week they're going to update it and give you new free things. So it's more just like a PSA that if you've got an Android, go and download the Amazon app and get free stuff every week. That's the main reason I mention it.
Okay, is that because there's been an equivalent on iOS for years? Is it just the same sort of thing where it will ping you saying this is free, this is free?
I don't know if it pings you or you have to go into the app, but
okay,
yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. There's been okay. I didn't realise there wasn't an equivalent of those already. But how was Fruit Ninja? Good.
Yeah, it's fine, isn't it? It's a slice of fruit. I played it before.
Yeah,
Is what it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, my number 9 is another XSplit game. It's called Red Robot Revenge, and this is out in the last week or so. I tried the trial. It starts with a really nice introductory cutscene with these two robots falling in love with each other on a production line.
Right.
And the female robot, I only know she's female because she's pink. She fails some kind of automated test, so she's thrown into the trash, and your character, the red robot, tries to save her, and he's kicked out of the factory. So the game is either you attempting to get back into the factory or pick up the pieces of the female robot. It was a bit unclear. You seem to be picking up pieces as you go through each level, so I don't know. Maybe that was my fault. I think I may have been briefly distracted during the cutscene there. But as soon as it starts, the levels with their sort of 1-1 number structure and the star ratings and the way they're presented on this big checklist almost, it looks like Super Meat Boy just from the menus. And then you start playing it, and it is a Super Meat Boy clone to the note. But it's very well made. It's a very well made attempt to mimic that game, as good as any sort of rip-off I've seen. It's unbelievably difficult, as it should be. But the levels always kind of appeared doable. The controls are good enough for you to be able to succeed. And that's where clones normally of Super Meat Boy especially, or clones of any fast-paced action game, they tend to fall down because the controls have to be perfect. And despite looking obviously very cheap, it is well made. It feels play tested. It's one of those XSplit games that feels like it was sort of thoroughly play tested before it came out, and it's 69 pence. I've played Super Meat Boy. I still own Super Meat Boy. If you haven't, I don't think it's sacrilegious to say that this is a pretty damn good alternative if you're skint. If you have a few quid, go and play Super Meat Boy. But I was impressed. I was like, thoroughly decent.
What was it called? Red
Robot Revenge.
Okay.
Really
well,
surprising.
Good on whoever the hell made that.
I can't tell you who made it because I didn't check.
No problems. My number 9 is a game made by Konami. It's Pro Evolution Soccer 2015, the new one. I just had a smash on the demo, to be honest, because I got excited by the fact that it's out in a couple of weeks. I'd kind of forgotten it existed since FIFA came out, just because for the first time ever, they didn't come out in the same week or within a week of each other. And so many other things have come out since that, I forgot it existed. But I tried to play it using SharePlay, which I'll talk about later, the demo. You couldn't, but I still fancied the game, so that's why I played it. Great story. But it's just plays such a lovely game of football, especially after playing so much FIFA. I've been up and down with FIFA 15, but PES is just... This one really is classy. I assume a lot of people have actually tried it now because these demos have been out a while on the new consoles. And while I played the Xbox One version where the resolution it is actually, I know we don't care about resolution, but when it is noticeably like a lower res than the PS4 one, it really is. It's just a lot jaggier. So it doesn't massively matter. But at the same time, put side by side, the PS4 version is definitely the version to go for, clearly. But once you're on the pitch, it doesn't really matter. It controls beautifully. It just plays such a much more measured game of football. It really does. I know I played a game of Barcelona against Juventus, and I think I created 2 proper chances all match, but they felt like real moments. I scored one and didn't score the other one, but I really had to earn those chances. And the computer eventually, the computer was on the back foot for the whole match, but eventually they managed to win one like header from a long ball, which got through to Tevez, and he scored. And it really felt like something that happened in football. When you get screwed over like that in FIFA, it feels like the game's against you, but it's just felt like, tactically they'd set up to defend and then hope that they can win it's like, it made sense. It was annoying to concede, but it made sense. So fingers crossed the online game will work, but even if it doesn't work that well, there will be a workaround using SharePlay functionality if you do get it on PS4. It's something I will talk about a bit more with some other games in a minute.
Okay, I'm still really excited for Pro Evo, although I think EA must be very, very aware that Pro Evo is looking so good, because I've never seen them jump to fix FIFA as quickly as they have done this year. So we'll see. I'll have to ask you about the SharePlay thing in a bit. But so demos don't work then, I assume.
The PES demo didn't work, but that was the only one we tried. But like I said, I've got stuff to talk about on it. So
okay, all right, cool. My number 8 is almost certainly on your list. Is Destiny.
It's much higher.
Okay, all right. Well, let's leave it till then.
All right. Okay then. To continue on the share play thing, my next game, where are we? Number 8.
Yeah.
Is Driveclub, in fact, but it wasn't actually me playing Driveclub. Really, I did have a go. It's still not really working properly in the way that it should be. But this is one of the first games that we tested on SharePlay. I was playing with sometime podcast host David Turner. I'm sure everybody knows who Dave is, and he doesn't have Driveclub, and I do. So it's as simple as loading up the game, hitting the share button on the PS4 controller, and a new options in there says Share Play. Press that, you get to choose from your friends list who you want to share with. Easy. Once they accept that, then you get a little menu that allows you to pass them the controller, and I think the other one is like stop them sharing or whatever, but that's basically the only option. And you can literally just hand over control to them. And Dave played Driveclub and I watched him play it. He said there was a small amount of lag, but it didn't stop him playing and driving properly. And the whole thing was just magic, to be honest. I mean, it was astonishing that this was happening in front of us. That I was sitting there talking to Dave, who lives. We Googled it. In fact, he lives 100 miles away from where I live. He lives in London, and he was just sitting there playing my game on my PS4. It's just magic. I mean, it's insane that this is a feature. And the hilarious thing is, I mean, they didn't shout about it. They shouted about it on the internet. And people who follow games week in, week out will know about this stuff. But most people who own a PS4 don't do that. And when you updated that system, I couldn't see any mention of SharePlay anywhere. So a lot of people aren't even going to know this amazing feature exists. But if you've got a PS4, just try it. Just hook up with a mate and try something like that. Even if it's a game you both own, just for a laugh, just to try it. And let us know how the connection is with you, because my PS4 is quite far away from the router in my house. I've been meaning to buy one of those like Ethernet things, the things where you go through and plug through your plugs in your house.
Through the wires.
Yeah. But I haven't got around to it yet, so it's not. I think if I had moved the PS4 or wired it in, it would be an even better connection. I know that it only runs in 720p when you're doing share play for the other person, as opposed to 1080. So it's not. Driveclub wouldn't have looked quite as nice, but they said it looked great, and it's just the whole thing was just kind of mind blowing, really.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of this feature until we were talking about it earlier this week. So I'm definitely.
They talked about it in length on that when they announced the PS4. They talked about it at a decent amount of length, and I remember watching it and just thinking, this sounds impossible and it will never happen. And ridiculously, this feature has appeared before the other feature I was excited about, which already exists on Xbox One, the standby feature. The instant off, instant on thing, which you can do on Xbox One.
You can do on Wii U now as well.
Oh, can you? Oh, yeah, you can.
No, sorry. I think you can preload games. Sorry,
you can preload games, and it has an instant on feature on Wii U, but it doesn't. You can't. What's the word? Freeze, standby. The thing you can do on a fucking Vita and the 3DS.
Yeah, right.
But you can do that on Xbox One, which is it's a good feature, actually. Yeah. Very good feature. I'm looking forward to it eventually appearing on the PS4, but it's no. Yeah, this feature's just amazing, though. It's amazing. It really is. It should be something they should be screaming about from the rooftops. It's such an incredible feature.
Especially seeing as that our mutual friend Nick's got EA UFC on the PS4. We have it on the Xbox One, but now if it works even half as well as it sounds, then we can play.
We can. We definitely can. I'll talk about another game in a minute.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, my number 7 is actually 2 games. It's Crysis 3 and Batman Arkham Asylum, both on the PlayStation 3. I got these both from PS Plus. I just downloaded them out of sort of a weird, misguided paranoia that one day I'd need them. But anyway, I wanted to have a look at them before I deleted them to free up some space on my PS3. So I tried Crysis 3 first. I had completely forgotten there was a multiplayer side, so I jumped in there to see what was going on, and the answer was not much. There were way too many lobbies, too many different game types, way too many ways to split the community. But I tried 3 times, and I just played the waiting game. A couple of people bounced in and out of lobbies and then disappeared, and then I tried another lobby, and then a couple of people, and everyone was looking for a game that was going, and they couldn't find one. So I was just like, see you later, this is rubbish. I briefly tried the single-player campaign, and I thought it was pretty awful.
Have you not played it before?
Oh yeah, of course I have, and I really quite liked it when it came out. I mean, you follow a guy for a bit, and then you do a bit of stealth. I was like, blah blah blah. I did rather like it when it came out, but I think in retrospect it was probably just a pretty high-end bit of stopgap fodder. But yeah, why would I ever play this again? I played it for about 10 minutes. I mean, Crysis 2 might be a different story, but Crysis 3, I deleted it. I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it at the time, but that's about it. Arkham Asylum, I put on, and it's just instantly, it's a classic made out of cast iron. I've never been in any doubt that Arkham City was the superior game of the two for me. I know some people didn't get on with the open world, but I really did. It was my favourite game of that year, 2010, 2011, whenever it was. And Arkham City had such a memorable opening, just an untouchable, one of the great openings to any game. And I'd forgotten, Arkham Asylum starts brilliantly too, with the credits rolling as you escort the Joker into Arkham on that gurney.
Yeah.
And it's not as flashy, but it's such a great way to kick things off, and quite quiet too. Action games don't start like that. It's not short either. It takes about 10, 12 minutes for the whole thing to play out.
Yeah.
But it just works amazingly well. And then the game starts, and it feels like a valuable artifact already. It's been so influential, and it still feels fresh. The combat is not as fluid as it was in the sequel, and like when you're moving through vents, that is unnaturally slick, but it's just the most amazing debut. It has that same confidence and brio that Titanfall has. It's like Titanfall, it's not wholly original, but there are many original elements in it, and everything that isn't original is done about as well as it can be done. How many games have copied Detective Vision or the free flow system? That's a fearsome number of video games. It's ridiculous to even try and comprehend. I don't have the time to play Arkham Asylum again, needless to say, but if you're bizarre enough to have never played it first time round, this is up there with the greatest PS Plus games ever made. So I hope nobody missed it. Anyway, it's a stunning, just a stunning thing.
Yeah, they were doing both of those on PC for super cheap at one point. I think maybe it was part of a Humble Bundle or something. My memory's like yours these days. I can't remember anything. But I have them. I have both of them sitting on my PC. I think that in total it was less than £5 for both of them. They look great on PC as well. So they're just two brilliant games just to have sitting there that you can try and enjoy. When I went back to Asylum, I actually played a good old chunk of it as well, a good few hours. And yeah, it holds up brilliantly. The gameplay is very familiar, obviously, because every game's copied it, but it still has a confidence and it kind of a variety in what you're doing, even though it's the combat or it's the hunter stuff or whatever, predator stealth or something like that. It's always throwing something at you, whether it's just turning a corner and there's a big present there from the Joker, or there's a new enemy introduced. Very, very clever use of variety. That's a terrible sentence, but it makes sense.
No, it does. I know what you mean. It's just I was just playing it, just looking at it, just thinking what an amazing thing this was, and still is.
The new one, very exciting. The new one,
big time.
Yeah, Rocksteady. That is another UK studio. I mean, I was thinking about this actually. It's something I was writing this week, talking about UK studios. I was just thinking, like, it's a fucking powerhouse. It's a small country, and like obviously you got GTA, which is like basically the biggest game that there is. So I think they confirmed they've done over 34 million or something for GTA 5. They sold, which is just insane. And then the Lego games, which turn over ridiculous amounts of money,
and they're great as well.
Yeah. And then Rocksteady, and then all of these, like, Football Manager is like one of the biggest games in the world, and that's British. Everything's English. It's crazy. All of these games, British, I should say. Anyway, so fair play to a small country for doing so well.
Yeah,
we should all be very pleased. Oh, anyway, what am I banging on about? A game that's not British is Towerfall. And in fact, Towerfall Ascension on PlayStation 4. A game that I love, as do you, I'm sure, but has always bemoaned the fact there's no multiplayer until now, thanks to SharePlay. This was the obvious one to try, really, because who doesn't want to play a bit of Towerfall online? No one. And, by gosh, it worked. Same thing. As well as handing over the controller to let someone else control it, you can hand over a second controller, so they become another person in the room with you, effectively. And that works just super easy as that. And suddenly Dave was picking a character, I was picking a character. Piss. I actually played at the other end of the shared play, so it was like hosted on Dave's PS4, and graphically it's a tiny bit artifacty, I'd say, compared to the clean normal version, but it's not a problem. And there was noticeable latency in the controls, but it was by no means unplayable. In fact, I won our match playing as the the recipient of the share play, so that shows that it's more than playable. It was like microsecond lag. I mean, that's a game that's always going to be very noticeable as well with stuff like that, just because it's so precise.
Yeah.
But again, I think that I could probably tighten that up just by moving the PS4 nearer the router or wiring it. So I am interested to hear other people's experiences. And Towerfall Ascension is just a wonderful, brilliant game. Maybe better one-on-one than it is with 4 players somehow. Maybe. It's a bit cleaner. If you've never played Towerfall and you missed it, please say you didn't miss it on PS Plus when it was on there. But a four-player competitive 2D side-on combination of like a action game and a platformer where you fire arrows at each other. Every little character has a limited amount of arrows. It takes one shot to kill, but you can catch arrows using the same button as dodge, and all it does is just constantly conjure up brilliant moments of hilarity and unscripted drama. It's super precise. It's basically a faultless game. Also incredibly customizable. But the only fault was there was no online multiplayer. And this, to me, has proven one thing, actually, that they claimed that they didn't want to do online multiplayer because it wouldn't be the same Towerfall experience, but, they could have done it. I'm not saying that they could have done it with the resources that they had, but I don't think that excuse it really holds up now that I've tried it, because I would happily play a slightly latency-ridden 4-player game of Towerfall happily. And it wouldn't be quite as clean as playing it offline, but it's a shame. It's a shame because even with share play, you'll never be able to play with more than 2 players.
Is that they're never going to sort of patch in the ability to have? I suppose that would be too much, like having 4 people.
I really just don't think that. I mean, it's made by such a small amount of people. I just don't think that they have. It's basically made
not Towerfall. I mean share play. I mean, that's
maybe
only ever going to be.
God, maybe I don't know.
On this hardware, it seems like it's asking it to do a hell of a lot with just share play with 2 people. But I mean, with 4 people, I'm sure. Well, I don't know. What the hell do I know? But I didn't know if they'd
give Josp a call. No, who knows? I mean, the thing's magic. I said this today. Imagine 10 years ago, that's about when I started working in this industry, just short of that. Imagine a situation where you could play I mean, this was kind of before you even played online when I started in games journalism. And now you're in a situation where you can play someone else's game from your house and they live... I mean, theoretically, well, not even theoretically, like definitely, if I knew someone in the States, I could play on their PS4 from my house, on their PS4, and play with them. Yeah. But not playing with them is actually, you've always been... I'm just stating the fucking obvious, but it's just magic. It's mind-blowing. You need to try it just to be blown away by it.
I will. With regards to Towerfall, I think we came to that assessment when we spoke about it a few months ago after we had that weekend when we played it loads, that it was better as a 2-player game. It's great that it starts as a crazy 4-player game.
Yeah.
The real excitement is when it goes down to 2.
Yeah.
I haven't tried this because I haven't had time, and also because I haven't done the update yet on my PS4. I'd heard that was... Have you had any problems with anything not running or like...
No problems with the machine. There was a few little issues just after I updated with Destiny servers. That was it. But I've had issues with Destiny servers on and off since I started playing it anyway. But by that evening, it was fixed.
Can I, if a friend of mine on a PS4 has got a PlayStation 4 and he's got FIFA, can he do the first half of an online game and then do the old switcheroo online?
Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if that's...
You might not... Don't know. Worth trying.
Yeah, I don't know. There might be some kind... They might... Why would they lock it for competitive multiplayer? I don't know. I'm going to try that and I might speak about it in due course because...
because you can hand in the controller at half time.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if you can play online on someone else's connection, I mean, you're dealing with double latency, but still. Worth trying.
I'll try it over the weekend and I'll speak about it next week.
Have you not got FIFA on the PlayStation though?
No, I've got it on Xbox. But our friend Fraser, has got it on the PlayStation. Of
course. I keep making the mistake that you only need one person to have it.
Yeah, we'll try that over the weekend anyway, and see how that goes.
But you can definitely play against him. That's for sure.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice too as well. Okay, my number 6 is Alien Isolation, the Crew Expendable DLC.
Ah, yes. Is this the one with Ripley in?
They've both got Ripley, and this is the
Okay.
one with the other cast members as well.
Okay.
It's one of the. It was offered to buyers of a couple of specific pre-launch versions of the game, and I believe it is available separately now for about £3, $4 or $5 or so, around that sort of amount. And yeah, it features 4 cast members from the original Alien, so Sigourney Weaver, Veronica Cartwright, Yaphet Kotto, and Tom Skerritt, and all 4 of those actors gave some sort of brief promotional interviews before the game came out, and I have to say, I would not be in the slightest bit surprised if those interviews were recorded in the same fleeting afternoon as the dialogue for Crew Expendable, because Crew Expendable's not quite nothing, but I can imagine being pretty miffed if I'd have paid for it, even though it's only £3 or so, £2.69. Really? It's just abundantly clear that this downloadable content, I haven't played the other piece, so I don't know, but this piece of DLC was created expressly to curry favour with hardcore Alien fans and to receive an endorsement from those actors. So this whole scheme may have been worth its weight in gold. And do you know what? I hope it was. Anything that might have helped to convince people to buy this completely unusual masterpiece of a game, I can't begrudge that, but this is shockingly meagre. It's barely 15 minutes long, and it's the exact opposite of memorable, and you can't say that about the main game. It's kind of a sort of altered offshoot from the main plot of Alien. About a halfway point in the movie, I'd say you go the whole game. You go and press a few switches, you avoid the alien, and you've got so much flamethrower fuel that there's no suspense really, because you can just blast it until the end. The very final stretch, which is to say the last 3 or 4 minutes, when you're trying to trap the alien in an airlock, that really got my blood pumping, but it's just inconsequential. Doesn't even cover it in terms of differences from the main game. There are a couple at least. You don't have a flashlight, and the motion tracker's too large to get it out inside lockers, so the gameplay's altered slightly. I mean, I don't know how you put a price on something like this, but if I had to do it, it would be free. A gesture to early adopters, perhaps free to everyone else a bit further down the line. It's the best part of £3 for 15 minutes of disjointed, passably engaging gameplay that isn't satisfying because it doesn't fit in anywhere. It's a bit of a stunt, to be honest, and not worth paying for. Someone said, "Is it worth paying for?" No, but buy the full game anyway. Don't be stupid. I mean, buy the full game. But this, it's just kind of nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess was probably always going to be the case if it was a pre-order incentive.
Yeah, but I've never seen a pre-order incentive like this. It is just. I mean, 15 minutes and I died about 5 times. It's just kind of nothing. It's like, hey, look, these NPCs look like the actors, and there's some dialogue, and it's just. I was quite surprised by how short it was, but there you go.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Buy the full game. Do that.
All right. So my number 6 then, bizarrely, is PN03 on the PC.
Wow. Play.
I was talking about this the other week. I can't remember if it was actually on the show or not, that it was the only Mikami game of note that I'd never played. And I thought, I would like to play that one day. And I just thought, I could just fucking emulate it. Easy. So, I don't know if it's illegal or not. I don't care. But the Dolphin emulator on the PC allows you to get GameCube games and run them in 1080p and play them with an Xbox controller. And that's just a whole bunch of gleam, quite frankly. So, easy as piss. Got PN03. Downloaded it. It runs in 1080p, looks amazing, obviously quite bare because it's old, and that's a really difficult and confusing game to get your head around at first. I knew that though, which helped. If I thought it was going to be, I don't know, maybe if I just bought it thinking it was going to be a normal game ages ago, it would have thrown me more. I could remember that there was not problems. It had a really esoteric control system. And it definitely has that. So with the way that you move the camera with the same stick as the one that you control your character with, and all that sort of stuff. The way that you just everything about it's weird. But I started to think that I knew how to play it, and then I read some stuff about it and realised that what I was heading towards was correct. And from what I could gather, I maybe played about 45 minutes. It's all about dancing in and out of the bullets and kind of doing it sort of in time to the music. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you hide behind cover, but not in the way that we've become used to over the last few years. As in, you're not snapping to anything. It's just you're shifting in and out of the natural cover in the environment. Is that right as well? Would you say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I was starting to get my head around it, and it was making me think about how a lot of his games have that kind of barrier. In most of his games, they are accessible in many ways, but a lot of them have systems that you've got to learn, and if you're not prepared to learn them, then you're kind of screwed. Like a game like God Hand is a nightmare at first, and until you work out what the hell you're doing. Even The Evil Within, which I'll talk about a bit more later, has elements of that. And even all the Resi games that he was involved with, the control schemes are bizarre. Even Resi 4, really, you have to stand still to shoot things. So it just kind of is still reminiscent of his work, and obviously there's elements that ended up appearing in Vanquish, I'd say, that you can see even early on, just more like the clean look of the levels and stuff like that. I'm intrigued. I mean, it's kind of weird because it looks so nice and crisp. It didn't feel that old, if that makes any sense, even though it did. Yeah. It kind of looked modern. It looked like almost like an HD remake, really. And I'm going to play more of it because it's really interesting, and I want to get to the point where I'm getting the same feelings from it as other people have got. The people who have chosen to write excellent articles about it and extol its virtues over the years. I want to get that from it as well, because I'm definitely still very much on a shinge high at the moment.
Well, the fact that that's available in that form makes me want to buy a PC more than almost anything else.
Well, you can you can get it on your Mac.
I'm going to look into that.
It's a piece of piss. Honestly, it's a piece of piss.
I could just find somewhere selling the GameCube disc and run it on my Wii.
You could, but the other way is easier.
Okay, I might look into that.
Google emulate GameCube, download the thing, Google ROM Piano 3, download it. That's how hard it was.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, maybe I'll look into that. It's the only reason I love that game so much, because I got it with a bunch of friends, and everyone was kind of like. One thing that bothers people the most about that is the environments are quite stark, and like they are very similar. So, but that doesn't, that. So I was with everyone else. I was and then for some reason it's the only thing I had to play for about a week, and I just absolutely smashed it, and I just fell madly in love with it. The gameplay is just. Yeah, dancing around those bullets is so good. I need to play that game quite soon. So. I'd love to have some kind of a spiritual successor to it, although that's never going to happen. But it's a tremendously good game. I love that. As we've spoken about before. But maybe I'll play it before next week. Who knows?
Oh, at least.
You should definitely play it some more. Okay, my number 5, I assume, is on your list as well. It's Titanfall.
It is. Yeah, it's a little bit higher on my list, but yes.
You want to get out of the way?
Let's do it. Okay.
The 8th update dropped last week, which came as a very, very nice surprise. They announced it and then it came out the next day. What wasn't a surprise, or what hasn't been a surprise, is how brilliant it is.
Yes.
It's another raft of superb changes, an excellent new game mode, and 2 excellent new ranking systems that are designed to bring sort of lapsed pros back into the fray, and also embellish things further for people who are picking up the game new. Firstly, though, there are a few tiny changes which are very, very welcome. First of all, you can now see how many people are in each lobby and playing each mode, which is very handy because rather than get stuck hanging around on a day that, for example, Capture the Flag isn't particularly busy, you can adapt and go and play something else. But speaking of Capture the Flag, CTF matches now go to sudden death when it's a draw. So as soon as it's 2-2 and the match ends, nobody can respawn. If you die, you're dead, which is a far better and more suspenseful way to end a really fiercely contested game of CTF rather than a bloody draw, which was really annoying.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, lobbies don't appear to die after a minute or two now either. That's been a problem since day one that never really went away. You'd just be in a lobby tinkering with burn cards and loadouts, and then it'd kick you back to not the dashboard, but to the main menu. But now everything's working better than ever. And this new ranking system, which is currently in beta, but I because I'm a Gen 10, I've been able to invite people to the beta. It's really surprisingly bracing, even though, I mean, it's another ranking system. But if you're looking for new ways to level up, this is a really cool one. You just progress through all of these tiers: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, by playing well. You just nets you these things called battle marks. 5 battle marks levels you up a tier, and it runs in seasons, and each one begins in the first of every month.
Is that how it works? The season?
Yeah.
So
you're trying to get to platinum, and it moves up quite quickly. I mean, I moved up to I think I was in gold quite quickly, so it's not hard to do or anything. And in addition to that, every map has stars now. So that every map has 3 stars per mode. So if you perform well on a certain map, on attrition, for example, you get 3 stars. And then if you perform well on the same map in another game type, 3 stars. So you're constantly chasing stuff, which was always part of the appeal of Titanfall in the beginning. But the big thing, obviously, is Frontier Defense, which is a Horde variant. And it's just so much better than I was expecting. A standard, no frills Titanfall Horde would have been an absolute blast anyway, but they've just added loads of stuff. There's these cloak drones that you have to take out if you want things to appear on the radar. There's suicide spectres. You've got deployable turrets and ammo boxes. So if you survive now, you can go and pick up extra ammo. Mortar Titans. And then the most evil thing in history, Nuke Titans. It's like a brand new game, and I absolutely love it. There's new Titan OS voices, insignias and stuff, and you can forge documents via the black market now if you're having real trouble trying to sort of fulfill a challenge, which is just brilliant.
Yeah.
And more game modes are coming as well. There's a game mode I'm really looking forward to called Deadly Ground, where basically you can't touch the ground.
That sounds great.
It's just another stupendously good update.
Yeah, I loved what we played of Frontier Defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Horde. You played it. We've all played a lot of Horde games. Obviously, Gears of War is probably still the standard bearer. Mass Effect 3 is excellent. What I played of that. The COD ones are fine, and Firefight and Halo and things like that, and plenty of mediocre ones. But this seems to have kind of shifted what was something that was already in the game, and the game is full of NPC characters running around anyway. And just kind of putting them into focus, and having those spectres suddenly have a lot more personality, I guess. Just by you talked about the suicide spectres, they're suicide bombers, but you shoot one and they kind of pop all the other ones around them, so you can use them. And the way when it drops in 20 nuke titans, and they choose when to basically you're protecting this. It's called like a harvester, is it?
Harvester, yeah.
It's a big tower thing. It's like an electric tower. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a big tower. And the nuke titans, they seem to. I don't know whether it's how scripted it is when they decide to kind of charge.
It's normally it's towards the end of the final wave, but there can be as many as 20 on screen in the game at any one point. Which is just insane.
You have to be really tactical with your team to deal with that sort of stuff. And the mortar titans will hang around at the back of a map, pinging mortar fire at the tower. So you need to go and take them out. But obviously, it's a simple risk reward. But obviously, if everybody piles it out to the edge of the map trying to take those guys out, you've got nobody protecting the tower. So you have to be in communication to send the right people out, and have certain people scouting. You can change your loadout and stuff using the ammo boxes, and you don't get punished too much for dying as well, but it can stitch your team up, but it's not like it's a game over or anything like that. And I love the fact there's continues on the different waves. You've got a couple of continues on each. It's 5 waves to succeed, and a couple of continues. And unlike something like a firefight, which can take forever, a round on Frontier Defense doesn't take your whole day. You can get the whole thing done in probably about 20 minutes, I'd say.
20 minutes, yeah.
So I like that. Titanfall's always been a game about speed, and it's always you can play a game that you can play for 6 hours, but you can legitimately jump on for half an hour and get some good tights in and get out again. And it feels like you can have 1 or 2 on this, and it's not going to dominate your entire evening. But should you choose to, you can dominate your entire evening. They release some information about certain maps being much harder for this mode than others, so you can kind of. It doesn't have traditional difficulty levels, but you can just pick and choose your map. So you can choose to. And obviously, the star ratings you talked about. What a free update! Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, absolutely outstanding. They've charged for 9 maps over the time that the game's been out with a season pass, and no problems there. They delivered exactly on everything that they promised to deliver for a very inexpensive price. Is that still £6, by the way?
I don't know how long that offer was for, but. I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it was in this sort of window of the update going live, so I don't know. But if it is £6, then don't. I mean,
don't.
Hopefully,
hesitate.
you've already picked it up already because it's.
But regardless, this update is free. I mean, genuinely free, and also it seemed to run a lot better on Xbox One than it ever has done as well.
Every update, it does feel like it's gotten a little bit of it's run a little bit better. I mean, the fact that there's those 20 nuke tines running at you,
exactly,
it just feels like it can handle a lot more chaos than it could before. And also I love the fact that burn cards that we always used to joke about, spectres and turrets ignore you, auto capture the nearby spectres. We always used to just throw them in the bin, but you can actually use them in front of defence. All those burn cards.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just absolutely superb.
What a game! Truly, what a marvellous, magnificent game from what studio. So all power to them. All power to them. Bit tights, bit fucking tights.
You can't beat it.
You cannot beat it. You cannot beat it. My next game then, number 5. I'm getting confused because we're going back and forth on games. My number 5 is a game called Republique on my Android phone. On my, it's been on my Galaxy thing. It's been out for a while on iOS and just come out on Android. Have you ever heard of this game?
Republic or Republique?
Republique, the French spelling.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard of this game?
No,
okay.
I haven't, no.
So this was something that appeared on Kickstarter. I think it was one of the reason I was interested in it or heard about it. It was someone who was involved with the original Halo, was stepped out to make her own game, and so it kind of got some press like that. And I think maybe he was on a podcast or something I listened to. Just one of those ones that I kept hearing about, and it made it much like Amplitude. In fact, it kind of hit its Kickstarter goal right at the very, very end. It was a real tough one. And it appeared on iOS. I forgot it existed because I haven't had an iPhone for a while. And then suddenly appeared on this on Android. 186 for the first episode. So I thought, I'll go for that. I haven't played as much as I like, but it's a very, very stylish game. What it is actually it's a stealth game where you control the cameras in this facility, I guess you'd call it. So you are kind of a voiceless, disembodied character where the story starts off very mysteriously. So you don't really know exactly who you are. And it starts with a girl asking for your help, and then quickly you realise that you can press a button in the top corner of your screen and you can access the camera, and you can also do things like unlock doors and look at things in the environment for clues and stuff like that, and you can tell the girl when to move. And it's a kind of unusual take on stealth where you have to basically you can see around corners that she can't, so your eyes and ears moving through this environment. So that's kind of cool. And also it's just it exists to tell a story. This girl, she's in this, it's nothing hugely original, but it's told quite stylishly. The voice acting isn't great. There's some people, I don't know where they're from, but they're trying to do French accents, and it's not great. But, it is a mobile game. It looks very nice. It's 3D and everything like that. It's done on Unity. It does look nice for a mobile game. But you kind of I forgave it just because it's stylish and the dialogue itself was reasonably good, and it feels like something that's been crafted with a lot of care and attention, and with a purpose that it's a game that feels like it's born out of somebody's vision rather than trying to appease to other people or trying to write what they think should be a story and they've got a gameplay. It feels like everything's kind of married together and has come from the same place. So yeah, I like what I've played so far. Definitely, it's an episodic game. I think the first 2 or maybe the first 3 are out now. The season pass is like £8. There's still more episodes to come. I don't know whether I'm going to go and dive on the season pass. I need to play more of the first episode, but I like what I've played. It almost seems a shame that it is a mobile game, because while it works very well on the phone, you use the touchscreen to touch the cameras and the things that you need, it wouldn't be out of place. It feels like it should be on Steam for some reason. It feels like it should just be a PC indie game, and it might, even though mobile is huge install base, it feels like it would probably get a better audience and more publicity on that sort of platform. But there's no reason it can't appear on that sort of platform going forward. But it's cool. I like what I played for sure.
It sounds interesting. I was literally going to say it sounds like it could do well, perhaps on a console.
Yeah, I mean, it could do well on anything. Certainly on like a PlayStation type device, it would be beautiful on Vita. In fact, because you've got all of the options there. in terms of touchscreen and everything. But and even it would be a great fit there. I wouldn't be surprised if there are, it would. I can't speak. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up there. It's still, if it's just come out on Android, it's still in its relative infancy as a product. But yeah, will it hang together? Will it have enough variety as a stealth game to be able to hang 5 episodes off? I don't know, but I'm certainly intrigued by the story so far. Just like, there's this character who's kind of, you can click on them and see. It's very similar to Watch Dogs, actually, but I think it originally came out before Watch Dogs. But you can kind of see some of their personality traits by clicking on. I think they might have ID things on them. But yeah, one of the early characters that you can involve is like a very socially awkward person. It's not hugely original character, but the way the other characters in the game kind of react to him and speak to him was it's not world class dialogue or anything like that, but it was just believable. These are characters that felt like people and they felt like they had lives, as opposed to a lot of games where people just say things because I don't know why, you're just waiting for it to finish so you can start playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I need to play more.
It does sound very interesting, but it's one of those games that I'm just thinking, I'd hate to start playing it on a phone and then realise that it's coming out on a console or
I think it'll be a while, to be honest.
Okay, I might have a look anyway. I mean, it does definitely sounds interesting. I'll
yeah, it's cool, stylish.
Okay, my number 4, I assume, I think is on your list somewhere. It is Evolve.
It is my number
Alpha.
4.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
So the Evolve Big Alpha, as they're calling it, appeared today. This is Thursday as we're recording, and we both played on Xbox One. We both had our first games together. If you don't know what the game is, it's the new game from Turtle Rock, the guys and girls, I should say, that made Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 with Valve. They've now struck out back on their own, and they're making Evolve under 2K. The game is a 4-on-1 multiplayer game where 4 class-based characters have to hunt a player-controlled monster in sort of relatively open maps at its absolute its most basic level. The idea being that the monster has to evolve by killing sort of fodder in the map and getting bigger, with the eventual aim of being able to take out something in the environment, like a power relay, while the humans have to kill it, they hunt it and kill it. It's kind of difficult to know exactly what to say about Evolve at this stage. The 2 things I wanted to say: one, it doesn't explain itself very well at all, and it is an alpha. It really needs a overall tutorial video, I think, because it gives you individual tutorial videos on how to play each class, and they're actually quite simple and quite elegant in some ways. There's a medic class, but the medic can kind of shoot like medic power, I don't know, fucking medicine, Calpol, whatever, over a distance using the kind of Ghostbuster style beam, so you don't have to be right next to people like you do in most games where you're a medic. Something called the Trapper, because obviously you're hunting this thing, and they can lay down a big dome, which means that the monster can't get away. There's an assault class, which I didn't actually get a chance to play, but it just seemed like your classic assault class, and a support class that can top everyone else's ammo up. All that stuff was fairly elegant, and I didn't get a chance to play as the monster yet, but it seemed to be that the idea was that the monster had to keep away from the people to level up. And certainly in the games that we played, this just led to a lot of running. You can see the footprints, the tracks. You can track the monster. The footprints will be highlighted on the screen. So at first I thought, that's really cool, and then it was cool to follow it. And it'll flash up on the screen where like birds are scared by the monster or something. So you can just sort of try and work out where it is in the environment. And at first I was like, this is kind of like Predator. You're looking out in this sort of foliage, and you're trying to work out what this thing is. But it broke down very quickly to us running for like long ass periods of time, doing fuck all, just running, trying to chase a monster that was way, way, way faster than us, and then occasionally getting into a scrap with it. The scraps weren't hugely engaging. They weren't very satisfying. You have to work together as a team. The Trapper has like these harpoon things that it can shoot into the ground. If the monster runs over it, it kind of hooks them with electric beams so they can't get away. the medic has a tranquilizer gun that it can slow it down with, and that also highlights it so you can see it through walls. All that stuff are cool ideas, but again, the way the guns fire and stuff wasn't hugely satisfying. This wouldn't matter so much if you either kill the monster or it kills everyone, or most likely the outcome is that it runs away. And it runs away, and it runs away, and it runs away, and you just run after it and never catch it. And I mean, in the time that we played, the loading times are terrible, but it's an alpha, so it's barely, it's not really fair to talk about that sort of stuff. But we played, I'd say, 75% out of the game in menus, and then another 20% chasing it, and maybe 4 or 5% actually engaged in some sort of meaningful combat.
If that.
Yeah. I just don't know, it needs an overall tutorial video at the minimum to say, this is how you fuckers need to be playing this. Or they've really misjudged what they're doing. So, yeah.
I'll talk about this in a bit more detail next week because I don't want to prejudge it. I feel like I played each class. I was the monster. I played everything, and I watched those tutorial videos, and I feel like I know how to play the game as it is. I've played it rather a lot today, and I have to say, at this stage, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a poor video game. Admittedly, balancing might save it, or at least make it compelling. But it's not. One thing that's definitely true is not nice to look at. The art style is unbelievably derivative and boring, and it just looks dank. Everything is great.
Everything is great.
And the incidental character dialogue is moronic in the worst way. I just thought, I ate a load of cheese, so I've got cheese farts. And I'm just like, what? I'm so glad somebody wrote that down, handed it to an actor, spent money recording it, and then put it into this game. It's so much more worthwhile than Silence. Thanks very much. As someone who didn't know very much about this game going in, the premise was instantly interesting. I was immediately up for it. It sounded interesting, unique, whatever, but it's not balanced at all. As you said, the beast moves so quickly and is so powerful that currently it can't lose. I've played, how many games have I played? 8 or 9, I think. Like you said, the game essentially involves you running around. As the beast, you step on small animals and then you eat their corpses until a meter fills up, and then you evolve into a larger creature. You do that twice, and then you can attack the human power source, and that ends the game. If you're bothered by the human characters while you're trying to evolve, you just leap out of there. You just bounce out of the way. You're out of there in a second. Your stamina bar depletes so slowly that nobody can catch you for dust. And even if your stamina does deplete, you walk quickly anyway, fast enough to get away from the human characters. You can also, as you said, you can get tranquilized and you can get spotted, but the effects wear off so fast that they're completely useless. I also don't know why the classes are called. Why did they call them things like medic and support? Because, for example, medics, like you said, have kind of recon abilities, like being able to spot the thing. And the heavy has mines, the support class doesn't. It's just fuzzy, and players in many of the games I've had just end up spending way too long trying to figure out what to do. Because the class that they are doesn't directly explain what their role is in the game. And the human weapons don't really do a whole lot. They're not very powerful. They're not very fun to wield at all. When I played as the Beast, I just killed the medic first. He or she's clearly visible because they've got the green beam shooting out of them. And then you just off the others one by one.
Yeah,
I did that twice, and I had just under half of my health left. One time I almost died, but I don't even know if balancing can fix this, to be honest, because I found the whole experience just really tepid. It's a game where you chase something in circles, or you get chased around in circles until you either go and protect or attack an objective. That's it. The Trapper appears to play a really crucial role, but they produce that massive dome that the Beast can't escape from. But it's so massive, when I got caught in it, I just ran around for a bit and they just ran after me. You had no choice. It's so vast. You can either just keep running away until it disappears, or you can annihilate the whole team without a whole lot of trouble. I don't know how you fix this. Do you make the beast slower and less powerful? That might be a start, but you're still running around in circles. Plus, the weapons, the rubbish. Shooting things is just not fun. Nothing appears to do any damage either. It's just, at the moment, what Evolve is a traipse round a grey world with some grey characters, grey weapons, grey objectives. What I'm saying is they need to change the title, basically. I'll talk more about it next week, but I'm just like, I was kind of, what is it?
I was kind of left. That last game that we played together really wasn't fun. I mean, it was long. It was just running at a grey forest. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, and then the beast moves so quickly that you get to where he was last spotted, where the birds last moved at his location, and then he's 100, and he just run again, and then he's gone. And then it started counting down, saying the game's going to end. And then Bush, he ran into the facility, knocked out the power supply, and that was the end of the game. I was like, I don't know I don't know what they can do here. I'm going to be very interested to see how this develops, if anything, because
you need to at least be able to lure the monster towards you as the humans. You need to, because there's no reason for the monster to come and attack you. You can win the game as the monster by killing everyone.
Yeah.
But you've also got another way of winning the game, and you can get away from them too quickly. So it needs unless I'm missing something, you need to be able to set. I don't know, like a reason for them to make the monster come to you.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm going to play it some more tomorrow. I don't want to suddenly discover, oh shit, it's actually really clever. But the hours that I've put in, I've tried to toy around with things a little bit, and it just seems to be the way.
Yeah.
I mean, the best way to win the game is to sit on the farthest point of the map, wait for all of the humans to come and look for you, smash it back to the facility, knock out the thing at the end. Loads of running around.
Loads of running around.
I've had, like I said, 8 or 9 games, all awful.
Yeah. I went on forums on my bus journey today, because it's always kind of a good idea to when you feel like you're not understanding a game. Definitely, it's a good idea to go on a NeoGAF and things just to hear what other people are talking about. And everybody, 100%, every single person was having the exact same reaction as us, and that's not a good situation to be in for Evolve, quite frankly.
No.
And most people are like, I'm confused. Is this all it is? I'm not really enjoying this. I want to enjoy this. It was all that kind of rhetoric. So, yeah, exactly like you, I'm going to play more. I'm writing a piece about it. So I want the game to be good. There are elements about it I definitely like, but I like some of the abilities of the humans, and it's cool to play as a monster. I wish it was like less grey. It's almost like black and white.
Oh. It's really just I don't want to look at this anymore. And I don't know how many levels there are. I know there's definitely 2. I seem to keep playing the same 2 levels on the alpha. There might be more than that, but there's not a massive amount of difference between them. They're grey.
Yeah, they're so grey.
I don't know what the hell this is. I can't. I'd love to be able to really try and think about how they could make this compelling in the slightest. It's just not compelling.
No. And I don't know what else there is going to be in the game, but people say Titanfall's thin because there's no campaign, but this is just... Is that it?
Yeah, I really hope not.
I know there's like a few different monsters, but I think there's only 3. Who knows?
You just... I really do. It's a real mystery. I was genuinely quite shocked that it appears to be what it is. But we'll talk about it next week. Maybe suddenly everything will make brilliant sense.
Genuinely hope so. Yeah.
Me too. I don't like hating on anything, but especially not something made by hundreds and hundreds of talented people. I don't know. I'm hoping that something appears. So we'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was both our 4s, and my number 3 is Titanfall. So yeah.
Okay. My number 3 is The Evil Within.
That's my number 2.
Should we do it?
Yeah, because my number 3 is Titanfall, so it's got to be done.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, let's go then.
I've not played as much as I would like of The Evil Within. It's a game that it feels like you can play it for a long amount of time, but you only do one chapter. So, in fact, it is technically probably my number 2. I don't know, but I was wishing that I'd finished it by now, but I haven't. But what I want to talk about specifically is chapter 9, which this is the chapter that they demoed in I talked about it a few weeks ago at EGX.
Yeah,
it was this chapter, but weirdly one of the key things about chapter 9, which is a chapter set in a very, very Resident Evil type mansion, which has Resident Evil 1's dining room in it. It is clearly
I saw that. Yeah.
Very much full of Resident Evil 1 nostalgia, but also with very much an Evil Within type of vibe. But one of the key things about this chapter is that you have an enemy that pursues you, not dissimilarly to the alien in Isolation, but will appear, and it's very scary when it does appear, and you have to get the fuck out of there because it can one-shot you. That wasn't in that demo. So that fundamental part of that level just literally wasn't in the demo, which is totally weird. And also, in the demo that I played, all the enemies were in different places. It made no sense. It was such a terrible demo. But now I played that chapter. That chapter is incredible. I thought that was one of the most incredible things I've ever played, that whole chapter. The tension of that enemy was horrendous. You talked about you're doing like mundane tasks, which you kind of are, but they're really quite sinister and sick.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want. I felt like they were almost spoilers, so I didn't want to talk about
that stuff's been in like pre-release material.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no point in explaining specifics of exactly what they are anyway. But you're kind of doing these weird mundane tasks while you're being pursued by this enemy, which is kind of unscripted where it appears, which is different to how the rest of the game works. And dealing with normal enemies in this weird mansion that has this, like, the top floor just seems to go on forever, which is just really disorientating. It's just kind of brilliant level design. It does some excellent, like, people slate the story in this game, but I thought the storytelling in some of that stuff was really quite good. And then it just, as with everything in this game, just flips on its fucking head towards the back end of the level, and just like a visual, imagery of the times I just didn't even know could even enter my brain. Some of the stuff that I saw towards the end of that, and then it just switches and changes up, and then the chapter ended. And I just put the controller down after that chapter. I was like, that was fucking incredible. I can't believe the game might still go to shit in the last few chapters to me, but it's just one of those ones. I've read quite a few negative reviews of the game, and there's been loads of positive reviews. And loads of like middling, well, it's okay, it's not as good as Resident Evil 4, that reviews. And I just think, like, where I still haven't read that piece that Rich Stanton's written, because I'm not going to read it properly until I finish the game. I was just like, where are the people going nuts about this? Because if I'd reviewed this, I know, unless it goes to shit towards the very end, I know I'd have given it a 9 at least. Not I wouldn't have given it a 10 because it's too sketchy, but like, it's a 10 in my brain just because it's blowing my mind with every corner that I turn.
Well, yeah, I finished it last night.
Oh, you
I think. Yeah, I did. Yeah, and overall, a very, very entertaining video game. But occasionally, it really did annoy me. I still recommend it unquestionably, but it just. I'd also find it a whole lot easier to recommend if the likes of Alien Isolation wasn't an alternative, because I think that's not infinitely, but it's definitely the better game of the two. For all of the, I do actually think that I know people who would absolutely hate this game just because of how old-fashioned it is. So, I mean, I haven't seen any really negative reviews, but I know people who would think that this is the worst game ever made, and because of the complete, the madcap nature of the plot, if you can even call it a plot. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it overall. I'm glad I finished it. And yeah, as we've said numerous times already, it has some brilliantly chilling images in it. And I think it was overall properly successful as a horror game. And I don't just mean the bigger set pieces and some of the stealth bits and stuff. The bits that really got to me were, for example, that sort of mumbling man who's silhouetted in that weird yellow light, who just sits in that cell talking to you every so often.
Oh, yeah.
And the game gets, I've said this throughout, I think it has gotten better for me as it's gone on, and more unnerving as it goes on. I've only played this game at night, and before Chapter 8 or 9, or before Chapter 8 certainly, I had no real issues, but after that, and by Chapter 13 especially, I was finding it a little bit difficult to carry on.
Yeah.
Just very atmospheric and tense throughout, and towards the end especially so. But I still, for all that was good, I just kept encountering more bits that I just thought were terribly poor. There's another bit that you'll encounter soon where there's a one-hit kill enemy in this swamp, and again, perhaps, well, almost certainly a reference to Resident Evil 4, but you have to distract it by throwing bottles, but you're often standing on ledges so tiny that the throw animation knocks you off the ledge, so you get munched. And they're just instances. They're not bad design. they're faults that arose either from a lack of care or a lack of money or both. It's frustrating, but it just kept taking 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, through no fault of my own. It would be remiss of me not to have a pop at those, because I do think they're just bad pieces of the game. And also, there are specific bits where if you attack something on the wrong side of like a canned animation by a fraction of a second, you waste ammo. And there are very, very long stealth bits that are quite tense. You're preserving ammo, and then you shoot at something. Oh, the bullets have no effect because it was moving in or out of a canned animation. That's just bad. It's just, these feel like things that would have been ironed out with a bit more time or money, but that's, hey ho, that's just the way. And there is actually a kind of repeat of that bit that I hated and you loved with the valves in the basement.
Right.
It's in a different location, different structure, different setup, and it is excellent. It's everything that the bit in the basement wasn't for me. It's structured and directed and horribly, horribly tense. It's very similar. You'll know when you get to it. But just in every way that the basement didn't work, this really worked. I was just on the edge of my seat, just like, I really want to turn this off because it's making me feel really, really uneasy. So a problematic game, definitely, but things I don't think I'll ever forget. Just very, very clear, very, very chilling images, and some great. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely glad I played it through to the end.
I'm very excited by hearing those things that you said, and especially the fact that I just seem to be immune to the other bits that have annoyed other people, which helps. But maybe those other bits will annoy me. I don't know. I think the fact I'm such a fan of the first, particularly the first Resident Evil, that game was a really important game for me. As daft as so much of it is, just at the time of my life when that came out, I don't think until playing this I realised quite how much I loved that game. And Silent Hill, I knew I loved those games, and there's so much Silent Hill in this game. Like, I mean, there are direct references constantly, like how you descend into these areas and suddenly everything's like made out of mesh and rusty metal and just horrible sounds. I mean, that's from Silent Hill. It's almost like they just borrowed it. But I'm absolutely fine with that happening because there hasn't been a good Silent Hill game in years, properly good. I can't really talk that much more about it until I get through to the end. Hopefully, I will be able to this week. But I think I stand alone as loving this game more than everybody else.
I don't know. I've seen some. I mean, the gist of the little bits that I've read of that RPS article. I think that I do think that there are people that are as mad about this as you are. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what you think of the lot. I thought it just got better and better and better, and then it ended, and that was fine for me. So I don't know. We'll see what you think. Okay, well, my number 2 is a game called MX versus ATV Supercross on the Xbox 360. It's also on PS3, and I think it's on PC also. I'm not going to bother beating around the bush. This is a colossal disappointment. Did you ever play MX versus ATV Reflex?
Not Reflex. I played Unleashed, I think.
Okay, well, I mean, Reflex that game was a bit of a masterpiece. It came out in 2009, I think. Right. 2009, yeah. I played it before it came out, and I told everyone I knew, when it comes out, we've all got to get it. And many of them did, and none of them were disappointed. It was just a terrific game. And the best part of it was this system called Rider Reflex, which was a system where the left stick moved the bike and the right stick shifted the rider. And it was genius because not only was it great for whips and tricks and stuff, it was great for cornering and great for avoiding collisions. It was just a superb system. Although Rider Reflex is written in the control bits of the menus in MX versus ATV Supercross, it is not there. It says it is, but it's not. What replaces it is the most simplistic, everyman routine bunch of nothing. It controls like an 8-bit game or something. It's ultra simple, and that would be forgivable if everything here wasn't so thoroughly bland and empty, but it really is. There is a single-player career mode, but it isn't really a career mode. It's just a list of tracks. You do a track done, Well, hey, you've done tier 1 of the career. Do you want to do tier 2? Another 8 tracks. You're just doing lists of tracks. And the AI of your opponents cannot even create the illusion that you are having a race, because riders suddenly speed up and then slow down and just slowly crash into barriers like idiots. And as you progress each tier of the campaign towards the end, the bikes, your opponents just appears to be unbelievably fast. So you spend like 9/10 of the last few races of a tier unable to get anywhere near the person or the first two people in front before suddenly during the final lap they inexplicably slow down and let you pass them. The drama. I thought had lost, and now it's just. Sometimes you can't win, and sometimes you can't lose. There's no difficulty. It's just a phony attempt to manufacture drama. If you lose the first few races in a tier of career, you can be sure that you'll win the last few. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Career races also unlock customizable elements, but they don't really affect anything. They're basically cosmetic. And the game touts the fact that there are over 60 real, actual riders featured in the game, but just guys in a helmet, just a bunch of guys in the helmet, different patterns on their clothes. I don't know. They're not likenesses. They're just the same guy in a helmet with a different outfit. There is local co-op play for 2 players, but it's not a local co-op campaign. I mean, it's just like, you can jump into do a race with 2 people. I don't know why it bothered me so much that there wasn't a local co-op campaign. I think it's because the one-player campaign is it's just a load of lists that to implement it into co-op would have taken 5 seconds. Even to create the illusion of a worthwhile gameplay mode that wasn't there. But no, it's co-op's just single races. I don't know. It just kind of highlighted what a lazy project this is. It can't even be bothered to pretend that it's got something to offer. There are also microtransactions. Hey, £3.50, buy a bike, etc. They split the lobbies in online multiplayer again. I'm starting to suspect that some developers do that to mask the fact that so few people are playing the game. There are 5 or 6 different lobbies for no real reason. It just splits up people looking for a game. I found a couple here and there, but every game was less than half full. You try to move around. I don't know why that keeps happening. I don't know why games keep doing that. But just the mundanity of the structure of everything, of the environments. Every lap takes 3 minutes. Everything's brown. The customizable elements mean basically nothing. This feels so much like a free-to-play game. And that's basically, it's more or less what it is now. Pay for it. I don't know. I love this series. But this really is a bit of a slap in the face, even more so than Alive, MX vs ATV Alive, which I think came out in 2010 or 2011. That was a shameless shell for DLC.
I remember that one.
That game was better than this one. It's just a real disappointment, and I'm amazed to learn that it's actually made by the people who made Reflex. I don't. It's. Yeah, not good in the slightest.
What a shame.
Yeah, it really is. I was really eagerly looking forward to it as well. I loved Reflex so much. There's a campaign, incidentally, because this was obviously owned by THQ. THQ went bankrupt, and then who bought them?
Is it Nordic Games?
Nordic Games, that's right. And there's been a fan campaign to try and get them to add servers or reignite the servers for Reflex, because obviously they haven't been going. And people at Nordic have said, yeah, we're thinking about this, we're toying with the idea. I hope they do, because it would suck if people who want to play a game like this have to be stuck with this, because this is nothing compared to that.
Yeah. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, it really is.
So, how's this working now? Is it my number one, your number one? Who knows?
My number one is also on my list, so let's do yours first and then I'll do mine.
Buddy, my number one is Destiny. It's been a while, but finally got a chance to go back to it and just fell back in love with it within seconds, to be honest. Finally got to the point where I've now hit the level cap. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've hit level 20, trying to get my head around the 9,000 different types of currency that seem to make up the end game. All of that stuff is utterly baffling to somebody like me, but I'm trying my best to understand it all. I'm sure maybe I'll find the grind beyond 20 eventually tedious, but you know what? I just love playing Destiny so much, I can't see that happening. I spent... I decided, okay, I'll take a little lunch break and I'll just play a little bit of Destiny. I'll do one bounty. Ended up playing for over 2 hours, really messed up my work day, but I just couldn't help it. And all I was doing was just doing patrol missions on the moon on my own. Yeah. And it was just so fun, just to shoot the baddies. When the game is that fun at a fundamental level, all of the other stuff, the crappy story, the this, the that, this, it just fades into insignificance, because that core gameplay, as of yet, however many hours I put in, which is nowhere near as many as some people, but it's still a lot compared to most games that I play, that's not got even remotely boring yet, and now I'm just starting to get to the point where I'm getting interesting weapons with more elemental effects, and my character's leveled up to the point where he kicks a lot of ass now. And just I love this video game. I love the art. We finished the story. I could not tell you what happened. I just could not tell you. I have no idea. But the last level looked cool with that Black Garden stuff. I was like, that was a really cool environment. I loved being on Mars. I loved being on Venus. I loved being on the Moon, and I love being on Earth. I'll happily go wherever else. I'd love to play that raid. Whether I'll ever get to 26, I don't know. I'm sure I will eventually, and give it a go. Who knows? I don't have a huge amount more to add to the Destiny conversation because I'm not in that grind of trying to get desperately to the level 30 or whatever it is. I'm just still kind of happily playing at my own pace. We did one of the strike playlists the other night, last night I should say. Really good fun. And I feel like I'm talking as a Destiny player from like 7 weeks ago or whatever it is, that everybody else is like, yeah, I know, I've done this fucking weeks ago, what are you talking about? But that's just the way it went down. For it's difficult to devote all your time to one game when you do this. It's difficult to do that anyway. But I still am absolutely transfixed by the game, and really looking forward to pressing on. I've actually played some Crucible as well, which I hadn't really touched before, and obviously it still massively favours the guys that are running around as flaming level 29s or whatever. But I have to say I was holding my own, unlike before when I jumped in at a very low level. And it's just you can't really play it at that level. But it really doesn't take that long to get to a decent level in Destiny overall. I mean, the amount of hours I put in isn't that much, and I could definitely hold my own. And I was playing the free-for-all rumble mode, which is like the classic Slayer on Halo, and doing well with the shotgun. I wasn't winning games. I think I won one. But I never win games on stuff like that anyway. But I love the fact that you know, you can directly affect your character. The fact you're using your own character is what kind of makes it stand out for that genre, because I'm pretty much done with competitive shooters that aren't Titanfall at the moment, because I just can't see how anything is going to be as good as that. I don't think Crucible and Destiny is as good as Titanfall. They're very different. But the fact you're using your character and everything that's going, that you're earning and everything that you're doing is going into your character with your weapons, that's really unique, genuinely. So, and that makes it way more compelling. And the fact you got the bounties on top of that. Like I said, I'm still kind of baffled by a lot of the stuff. They don't explain everything well, but there's something kind of cool about that as well. I think the fact that not a lot is explained, so you kind of have to figure it out and use the community to work out everything that's going on. I will never get to the point where I'm deliberately spending huge amounts of time to farm specific things to get there. I would just... These games will always be about the experience of enjoying playing them, not some statistical or numerical based goal that's actually meaningless. I've never cared about achievements. I've never cared about anything like that, so it's not going to happen to me on this. It's always going to be about the fun of playing, and the leveling up will just happen as I play. But yeah, what more can I say? I love it more than most. And well, it seems to be a weird game where everybody says, "Oh, no, Destiny's not very good," and then play it for 150 hours. So yeah. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's because the story isn't that good. People seem to get hung up about that sort of shit. So who cares? Yeah,
the fact that they've put so much story on the internet, and if you want to go and read more, you can. That's by far a preferable way to do it. Imagine if they just had 600 hours of content.
Oh yeah, it would be fucking murder.
Yeah. So I'm glad
stick the dink in the hole. You don't listen to anything that he says because none of it makes any sense. Shoot the baddies, move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the environments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll do. I mean, yeah. Would I prefer it if it was slightly better? I guess so, but like you say, I wouldn't want a 10-minute cutscene every time I finish the level.
Quite well. Yeah, but Destiny's my number 8. It's probably higher. I've played quite a lot of it this week, but it was lovely to go back. I haven't had the time. One of the downsides, as you said, is playing so many new games all the time. Is that my friends have been smashing this regularly. But I'll always. I've had so much stuff to do that I'll always pick playing games with friends to playing alone every time. I mean, I'll bail out of the best single player game I've ever played to play Battlefield 1. So going back to this was really great, and now everyone's in their mid-20s ranking-wise. There isn't as big a gap as there was at the start of the game. We can play together fairly hassle-free now, so I'm 23, 26 and 27s, and we can play just fine. And once you get locked in again, start challenging yourselves and you start coordinating all of your stuff and assigning roles to each other in the heat of battle and stuff. It's teamwork. It just, I kind of want to play it forever.
Yes.
It's such a long-term thing, though. I hope enough people see it that way as well, because one way that I'm starting to realise that it's kind of been future-proofed to a certain degree is that just the visual presentation. It still looks absolutely cutting edge. It's going to be a little while before I think this looks anything approaching out of date.
Yeah.
Months certainly, years doubtful, but who knows? I mean, it looks lush. There are parts of the game where you just I can't get over how amazingly good looking it is.
No doubt.
I wish there was more of a science to public events, because it's such a buzz when they just happen and 10 or 15 of you are sprinting between these battle zones. I mean, perhaps if they weren't random, they'd lose some of that magic, but those are really great. I did some Crucible as well, and that's started to click with me in ways that it hasn't done previously. I love me some Destiny. It looks like the kind of thing that I'll be playing, like as we've said, for a couple of years, hopefully.
I can see that. I can see that. One thing I must say, a lot of people are complaining about the price of the DLC. Fine, it does seem potentially a little light on content. We'll see when it comes out, as is the way the world works. But what are you complaining about? It was £35. They said there was 2 pieces, and they're releasing one at £20. How can you complain about that? They already said what the price was. It was already that price. They're not going to be less than half price, is it? Fucking hell.
It's
complaining about.
Yeah, but I still some of my friends who still are playing it on an almost daily basis, saying, "Oh, there's not enough content." I'm just like, children have been born and are starting to talk in the space of time that you've been playing Titanfall. So yeah, I mean, I don't really understand all of that either. But when's the DLC out? December,
yeah,
right?
December 9th, I think.
Okay, it'll be nice little Christmassy thing there.
Yeah, story missions, new raid, new strikes.
Nice.
Get it in there, boy.
Yeah, unless we're all playing Halo, which might happen.
Might happen. Yeah, that Halo 2 trailer looks nice.
I haven't seen it. But,
it's just cinematics, but it was nice.
Halo 2, I'm somewhat a fan of Halo 2.
Yes.
Okay, well, my number 1 is Bayonetta 2 on
the
Nintendo Wii U.
I was wondering what it was, and of course it's that.
Yeah. I don't know where to begin with this, but I will say that, first of all, I never really responded to the first Bayonetta quite as favourably as some people did. I liked it quite a bit, but it's kind of viewed as a sort of gold standard for this genre. And personally, I think that, for example, DMC last year is a better game. I think Devil May Cry 3 is a better game. And I think that's partially because there's something visibly tangible about the Devil May Cry games. For example, you see everything that you do, you see the effects of every combo, whereas in Bayonetta you are creating chaos. It's just pure visual anarchy. It's just insanity, which, I mean, that's gratifying in its own way, but for me slightly less so than something like DMC. But that said, Bayonetta 2 completely and utterly blew me away, and I think that's in part because it's far easier than the first game. Bayonetta had some really harsh difficulty spikes in it, even on normal, and in Bayonetta 2 the difficulty is far more inviting just on normal, in the hopes that you'll play it and you'll feel like you would enjoy going through it again on a harder difficulty, and I cannot wait to do that. In short, it's shorter, it's funnier, it's slicker, it's bigger. Some of the cutscenes are laugh out loud funny. I remember the first game being quite weird, but I don't remember heartily laughing at it, and that happened several times. And you can see, I mean, this is a game that was made with some budgetary constraints, so the majority of cutscenes are kind of not actual cutscenes, they're moving panel images with dialogue on top.
Okay.
But if those are there to cut costs, it's because the rest of the actual game is so lavish, and it's every bit as visually demented as something like Asura's Wrath. I mean, it's crazed, some of it, frankly. And it's also the perfect embodiment of a game that just exponentially improves. At the halfway point, I was thinking, this is very, very good. Much better than the first one, I think. And it just improves, and it just improves. And I thought it couldn't get any better, and then it just smashed through that ceiling more than once. And during the penultimate level, or I think maybe it was the level before the penultimate one, I did just sit back and just think to myself, it's a little bit insane how good this game is. It's just, it is an insane and insanely entertaining sugar rush that, you know, games like this do not come along every day. You, in particular, will love it. It made me think of only the best moments from stuff like the God of War games, the best parts of DMC. And it's a great Christmas game. It's 8 hours long. It took me just under 8 hours to play through it on normal, and it's just completely pure. It's laughably good. You have to play it. I mean, seriously, there's almost no doubt in my mind that it will floor you. And it's really polished. You can do it in a couple of indulgent sittings over Christmas, and it's like taking a trip to another universe before like beating the living shit out of the chumps in it. It's so well structured. It's got such momentum, and you progress alongside it. It's like DMC in the sense that you feel like you're getting better as exactly at the pace that you're supposed to, and it has some amazing sights to show off. Don't watch gameplay footage if you've managed to avoid any gameplay footage. There are some real things to see just going blind. I don't know if I could have enjoyed it any more than I did, quite honestly. It's it's a hell of a game, and I'm somebody who's a bit of an agnostic with regards to the first game. I think I'm going to go back to it now, but the first game is not better than this one. No way.
I've been putting off getting it because I wanted to finish the first game. I've still got it sitting there, just to get through to I was probably about 2/3 of the way through, I think. It's because it was one of those situations where I reviewed it, got almost to the end, and then that review disc was like a debug disc, so I bought the main game and had to start again from the beginning. Happens. And that's why it never got finished. But yeah, now hearing that, it's just like, if the Wii U didn't have like a 2 kilobyte hard drive, I would have already downloaded it, I think, and be playing it digitally right now. But I currently have to choose which of my 3-year-old son's favourite all-time video games to delete if I want to do that. And I just don't think I have that in me. So I probably will end up getting it on a disc. But it's going to get played. There's no two ways about that. That is definitely going to happen. But I do still want to finish that first one first.
I wouldn't bother, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I'm going to go back to it. I just remember this is. I think it's better in every way, and it's just I don't know why. I really wish I played it at Christmas. There's just something it's such a trip, and it's so purely and so it's less of a. I don't know. There's something very Nintendo about it. It's much more colourful, and it's just brighter, and it's stupider, and it's wilder. And it just goes more and more mental, and you're just like, what am I looking at? What exactly is happening in front of my face? It's so. I mean, honestly,
that sounds amazing.
A couple of 4-hour sittings, you can absolutely smash it and have the fucking time of your life. It starts quite quietly, and at first I was like, oh, this is more Bayonetta, and I'm not unhappy about that, but. I think at the end of the day, I can't really remember Bayonetta, so I may be speaking out of turn. But I loved it.
It was pretty damn nuts, the first one. But
the thing that bothered me most about that was the difficulty spikes.
Right.
But what can you do about that? You do have to play it as soon as possible. I reckon over Christmas you'll be very happy about that.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask for it for Christmas. How about that?
Do that. Incidentally, if you are playing Bayonetta 2 and for some reason the audio is coming out of the speakers on your gamepad but the dialogue doesn't come out of the TV, apparently it's a very common problem because Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 on the Wii U don't allow the Wii U to output in surround for some reason, so I had to go into my settings and change the output to stereo. So that's just a weird thing in case that's affecting you, because that was very weird. I thought it was some kind of strange anti-piracy measure where the dialogue was just come out of the gamepad, but I was using the Pro controller, so it was kind of annoying that I couldn't have the gamepad switched off without having no clue what's going on. But yeah, there you go. Bayonetta 2 is stupidly good.
I will play that. There's no two ways about it. It's going to happen.
Do that.
All right, another one in the can. Thank you very much for listening. Always check us out on Twitter, at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, at Chet and Johns. Talk to us, ask us questions, tell us things, do those things. YouTube, Chet and John on YouTube. Go and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. That's important. We need that. That would make us happy. We'd love a review on iTunes if you've not done it yet. We've got a ton, but they're always super welcome. They make a massive and unfair boost to our rankings on iTunes because iTunes is broken. But please do, even if it takes like 1 second, hit a thing, write one word. That would be great. And have a good time with your life at the moment.
Incidentally, just on a weird tangent, if you want to do something really strangely fascinating, go and look at the iTunes chart and look at everything in the top 200, and you will see, I'd say 50% of everything is podcasts that stopped broadcasting in the past. I mean, some of them haven't had a new... something that's 100 slots above us in the charts is some of them aren't even there. You go to download and they say this is no longer available, but some of them are like from 2008, and it's some guy going, "Oh, so this is the last episode." I don't know. I found going through some of those the other night very, very interesting. I don't know why I'm mentioning this. Forget I said it. But we'll hopefully speak to you next week.
Yeah, later.
Goodbye.
Dressing up like a nun just so you can off some angels and keep the underworld happy. Hey, I'm talking to you. Shit. But if it's that or getting torn limb from limb for eternity in whatever circle of inferno you witches go to if you break the contract, forget about it. I'd off the fucking wing bastards all damn day. Oh, hey, what the hell? Hey. But what the fuck you wasting your time trying to send some schmucks off to the afterlife for? Oh.
Done and done. Let's go home, Enzo.
Hey, wait a second. I ain't done here.